YouTube channel. My name is Danielle Laregi, and I am a senior developer advocate at Salesforce. I do want to say, just kicking off real quickly, it looks like there might be some type of technical difficulties or technical issues happening on the LinkedIn with LinkedIn Live. So if you're having some issues with getting into the LinkedIn Live page, we're also simulcasting on YouTube or double broadcasting on YouTube. So head over to YouTube, to the Salesforce Developers YouTube channel, and you can catch us live over there as well. All right, so today we're going to be talking about demystifying data ingestion for Data Cloud. But before we get started on how to start doing all of these cool things in Data Cloud, I first want to show you, there we go, our forward-looking statement, which says that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, so please make all of your purchasing decisions based off of what's available in the system today, and not what I say might be coming as a future product enhancement or something like that coming out in the future. So please make all your purchasing decisions based off of what is available in the system today, something that I'm sure many of you have seen before in the past. Also, feel free to send me some messages in the chat as well. So it looks like we have Rajni Ganda here. It looks like we also have Kalori, Ramesh. So welcome to both of you for being on the stream with and all three of you, actually both of you are from LinkedIn. So I'm glad that you're able to view it over there on the LinkedIn side. So it looks like some people are maybe able to view the event from the LinkedIn side. So that's good. But if you are having trouble viewing the event from the LinkedIn side, remember, again, you can always head over to YouTube. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get started into about some data cloud ingestion. Now, before I wanted to just get in there and start doing ingestion, I wanted to set a little bit of a foundation. So we're going to do some foundational things, looking at some connectors, and then I'm going to explain, how data cloud is built and how the data gets into data cloud, and then we're going to do some live ingestion here on stream. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at one of my orgs. And I'm just going to bring it on up. Okay. So here we are in one of my Salesforce orgs. If you've ever been to an AI Now tour, you might be familiar with Coral Cloud Resorts. Those of you that have been to one of our AI Now tour events. Coral Cloud Resorts is basically a hospitality company that has a wide variety of different hotel chains, and they store information about their guests and their reservations in Coral Cloud Resorts. And they want to be able to ingest data from multiple source systems into their new data cloud org. Okay, so let's look at some of the things that are available in this org. So over here, I'm just going to go over to data cloud setup. And the first thing that I want to show you are the connectors. So the connectors are how you get data into data cloud. So think about all the different source systems right now that you and your company are storing data in, right? First thing that you have to do in order to start getting that data into data cloud is, guess what? You have to create a connection to your source system. So I'm going to go over here after I came into data cloud setup, and I clicked connector. So if that was a little bit fast for you, I went up here to this gear icon, I clicked data cloud setup, and then I clicked connectors over here. And then what I'm going to do over here is click new. And you can see here, there's a wide variety of connectors that are available in the data cloud org. Look at all of this. So some of them are in beta, which means that they're going to be GA soon. So go ahead, get excited, feel excited for these new connectors that are coming out. Some of them there are also some connectors that are in pilot that aren't currently showing up in beta right now. We have a wide variety of connectors. I'm just going to scroll and keep scrolling just so that you can see the amazing power that's going to be coming to data cloud soon with all of these different connectors being available for data cloud. And I can tell you, I look in here and I'm surprised myself each and every day, sometimes each and every week. It used to be each and every week, but now I'm surprised each and every day of the new connectors. I've lost track of, which connectors are new and when they came out. But there's a wide variety of connectors that are now available to allow you to get more data into Data Cloud very easily. Now, if you remember, like back in the olden days, used to take months to be able to connect, a source system with Data Cloud and get data, a source system with any other system, not just Data Cloud, but source system with Salesforce, any other system. Used to be, quite painful to get. You go through this months long integration process to try and get data from one system to another. But now with Data Cloud, it's really, really easy to get all of your data into Salesforce and onto the Salesforce platform, the Einstein One platform, with all of these new connectors that have been coming out and being made available over the last few months. So we're going to look at a couple of connectors in particular. So I just want to say, so here in Data Cloud Setup, this is where you manage all of those connections to all those source systems. So you'll see here, we have Salesforce CRM, where we can manage our connection to a Salesforce CRM org. We're going to be covering the Salesforce CRM connector. So I'm going to cover that right now, actually. So you can connect one or many Salesforce orgs. So those of you that are in multi-org type situations, it's really easy to connect to a Salesforce org in order to start ingesting data into Data Cloud. So you can connect either to Salesforce production orgs, you can connect to Sandbox orgs, and you can also connect to the org that is hosting Data Cloud. So it's one of the important things to note is that Data Cloud is hosted in a hub or home Salesforce org, right? But just because Data Cloud is hosted in that hub or home Salesforce org doesn't mean that it has access to all of the Salesforce standard and custom objects in that org. You still have to create a connection between your Salesforce hub org and Data Cloud, okay? Now, once you create the connection, you can see I already have a connection here established between the Salesforce home or hub org that is hosting my Data Cloud. Once I have that connection established, I can start ingesting things from my Salesforce home or hub org. And I'm going to show you how to do that, like contacts, like leads, like accounts, like opportunities, a wide variety of standard and custom objects. So any custom object that I've created for, whatever business use case I came up with, I have the ability to ingest that data into Data Cloud from my Salesforce home, hub, or hosted org. I also have the ability to ingest data from other Salesforce orgs. So the one that's not the hub, the one that's not, hosting Data Cloud in it, I can ingest, all types of objects from those other orgs. But I can also connect to Sandbox orgs as well. So as you know, Sandbox are what you do your development in, or what you promote your development from scratch orgs to. It's part of the development process. We have the ability to, test ingestion using Sandbox data or fake data that's in one of our Sandbox orgs. So it's really, really easy to make a connection. All you do is click connect to a Salesforce org, and you type in some type of org alias. I'm just going to do org123, proceed, and then you do some type of login there, okay? You're going to be routed to some type of page to do some type of login. It's going to take you through an OAuth flow, and then after you do that OAuth flow, you're logged in, and you're able to start ingesting data from that Salesforce org. I'm going to go back into Data Cloud Setup here, all right? And I'm going to go back to Salesforce CRM. Now, after I go through that OAuth flow, then what's going to happen is all of these orgs that I connected to are just going to appear here. So all of them with their aliases, they're all going to be appearing here. And then when I go to data streams, which I'm going to show you later, I'll have the ability to ingest data from any one of those Salesforce orgs that I've connected to Data Cloud. Really easy. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. All right, it's really, really fast. So that's one of the ways that we can get data. So Salesforce, Marketing Cloud, each one of these connectors are following like some type of flow of doing some type of configuration. Marketing Cloud has a wizard that it walks you through. But then we also have back here in our wide variety of connectors, like for example, I'm just going to click into, we're going to do S3 today. So here, let's go to Amazon S3. So if I click next here, you'll see that it's asking for some type of authentication details. So some of these are asking for, a combination of usernames, passwords, client IDs, secrets, SSH keys, public-private key pairs. There's all types of different auths that are used for making a connection to each one of these orgs. So I'm actually right now going to create a connection to a Amazon S3. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ingest data. So Coral Clouds is storing some data in Amazon S3, and they want to ingest some data from S3. So there we go. I need to name the connection so I know what this connection is. There's two methods that are provided to me for auth. So I can either do access key secret based, or I can do identity provider based. I'm going to stick with access key and secret based here. And what I'm going to do is put in my access key and secret. Now, don't worry, you all won't be able to see my access key and secret. It's going to be all completely masked. There we go. And then I'm going to put in my secret access key. And then I need to put in my bucket name. So the bucket where my information or my files are within S3 and where they're being stored. And then I'm just going to leave the parent directory the same. Now, most of these connectors, they usually have the ability to test the connection beforehand to really make sure that the connection is working. So I'm going to click test connection here, and we're going to hope that all is well. Okay, it says connection was established. That means that all is well and all is working well. And then I'm going to click save, and this is going to create my very first connection between Data Cloud and Amazon S3. And how quick and how fast was that, right? Really, really quick and really, really fast. Now, there are a few prerequisite steps that are required to be able to set this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste this here in the chat, this blog post that I wrote. And this blog post actually takes you through step by step. So how to use the Amazon S3 storage connector in Data Cloud. All right, there we go. Takes you through how to do all those prerequisite steps. So that is there in the chat. Now, we've created our connection, and I would like to say hello to fellow developer advocate, Slack developer advocate, Jeremiah. Hey, Jeremiah. Hey, how you doing out there? Thanks for joining the stream. And also hello to Lokesh out there. Hi, thanks for joining the stream. And this actually is coming up, Ravi, on a future stream. So stay tuned for a future stream. I won't have time today to do the Zeri copy connectors, but this is something that I already have on the list to do for a future stream. So keep an eye out for future codeLives on this one, using doing bring your own lake zero copy. All right. So let's go over. So now that we've created our connection between Amazon S3 and Data Cloud, what do we have now? We now have the ability to ingest data. So I'm going to go over here. So the way that you access Data Cloud in your Salesforce org, Data Cloud is an app, just like you would access any other app in your Salesforce org. So you see here, I have a sales app, I have my service app. Coral Cloud has their own app that they've created. And then I also have a Data Cloud app, okay? So here I'm going into my Data Cloud app, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data streams. Now there's one thing I want to do before I start getting into this, I want to set a little bit of some foundational knowledge about how data streams work. So I'm going to go here. Let's just take a look at a couple of slides for a second. All right. So how does data ingestion work in Data Cloud? So you already saw that in Data Cloud setup, we have the ability to create those connections between our source systems and Data Cloud, right? We have the ability to create those connections between our source systems and Data Cloud. But now that we've created the connection, how do we actually get that data into Data Cloud? What we have to do is we have to create something that's called a data stream, right? So the data stream is how the data flows from that external source system into Data Cloud, into Data Cloud's first containers, which are called data lake objects. Right, we'll take it a step back here. What are data lake objects? So if you're familiar with Salesforce and you're familiar with Salesforce standard and custom objects, and that's the metadata structure and the model of Salesforce. Well, in Data Cloud, we have something called data lake objects and data model objects. We're going to just start with the data lake object. So data lake object is the initial container or the initial data table that the data is copied over to from the external source system. So all of those connectors that I showed you previously, all of that data first gets copied over into what's called a data lake object. And hold on once, making sure that you guys are seeing on stream what I want you to see. Are you all seeing the data ingestion slide on stream? Anyone give me a chat message? Just want to make sure that you're seeing the right thing. Is that what you're seeing? Okay. Let me know if you're not. I'm not seeing any messages. It's pretty quiet right now. But let me know if you're not seeing this data ingestion slide. So first, all that data gets copied over to okay, awesome. Thank you, Ravi. So all that data gets copied over to an initial table called a data lake object, right? So data lake object gets created from the data stream, right? Then from there, that's just the initial container. So you don't work with that initial container. You work with something that's called data model objects. So let's go over here and see data model objects. So you do this mapping between data lake objects and data model objects. And then data model objects are the canonical data model of Data Cloud, right? So think in Salesforce, you have your Salesforce standard objects, your Salesforce custom objects. In Data Cloud, we have something that's called data models. Now, there are standard and custom data models in Data Cloud as well. I'm going to show you all of those today on stream. But I just wanted to kind of show these images of how that data is going to flow through this stream and this data lake and data model object before I just go in there and start mapping stuff and start losing people. So, all right. Now that we've set that wonderful foundation, we can go back into our Coral Cloud Resort application. And you can see that here I already have 2 data streams created. I have one for Salesforce CRM and one for the Ingestion API. The Ingestion API is coming up. That's a teaser. Stay tuned. We're going into the Ingestion API. But so here we have our accounts. So some accounts coming in via the Salesforce CRM. I'm going to click new over here and create a new data stream. And what will happen is as I start creating those connections in the Data Cloud setup, as I start creating all these connections to these different source systems, right? What's going to happen is all these more tiles will start popping in. So right now, because I created a connection between a Salesforce CRM org and an S3 org, I can see here that I have the ability to ingest data from one of those sources. So that's why I have this Salesforce CRM tile. And that's why I also have this Amazon S3 tile as well. And then I've already set up an Ingestion API. So I also have an Ingestion API as a connected source, which I can ingest data from as well. So before we go to Amazon S3, let's just go back to Salesforce CRM for a second. Click next. I just want to show you something. So remember, we have our hub Salesforce CRM org that's hosting our Data Cloud org already set up, right? So we already have that connection set up. So because we have that connection set up, I have the ability to see all of the objects. Now that 1, 2, 3 quick OAuth flow, look, it gave me the ability to access and see all of these objects in my Salesforce CRM org. That's super fast, right? Super fast. It's probably the fastest integration, one of the fastest integrations you will ever see happen in your life. So what I want to do, let's say I want to ingest contact data into Data Cloud. Let's say I want to do some ingestion of contacts. So all I have to do is choose the contact object, click next. And then I have the ability to either bring in all of the fields on the contact. Now, this is both standard and custom fields that have been created on the contact, or I have the ability to choose which fields. I'm just going to choose all of the fields here and click next, right? Now, For a contact, if you think about what a Salesforce contact is, right? That's a person. It's usually a person that's related to some type of business account. It's usually a person that you have as a contact, really as you have a contact as a contact at a particular company, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to choose profile. That's most likely information that's about a person, an individual account, or some type of profile. We also have the ability to choose engagement for things that are more behavioral based or event based. And we also have the ability to choose other for some type of data that's not either profile or engagement. We also have these little helpful tooltips here as well to tell you what the difference is between profile, engagement, and other data is. So I'm just going to choose profile, and then I'm going to click next. And from there, I'm just going to choose, we're not going to go into data spaces in this stream, but I'm just going to keep the data space as default, and then I'm going to click deploy. Now, what did I do? What did I do there? So remember, I already had the connection established between my Salesforce org and Data Cloud. So what I'm doing now is I'm choosing which objects from Salesforce I want to start ingesting into Data Cloud. So accounts, contacts, opportunities, leads, some custom object. That's what I'm doing here in the data stream, because creating the connection, that doesn't bring any of the data in, right? No data is coming in. So I need to create a data stream in order to start getting data into Data Cloud. All right. So the data stream is what actually does that pool of data. It's a pool for that ingress. Okay. Now I have the ability to refresh this now. Like each one of these connectors, they refresh. Some of them are batch, some of them are streaming. Each of them have a different refresh schedule. You can set some of the refresh schedules as well, but each one of all that is online in the help documentation on, how they work in terms of how they come in, how frequently they come in, whether they're coming in via batch or some other type of process into Data Cloud. So for the CRM connector, you can't set the frequency for the CRM connector, but it does come in via batch, but you can force the refresh for the Salesforce CRM connector. All right. So now I've created my contact data stream. What else do I want to do? I want to create some more data streams though. Remember, we made that connection to our Amazon S3 org, and we do want to get in some information from S3 that we are currently storing in S3. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to create a new data stream. And this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Amazon S3, and then I'm going to select next. And I have a couple of options here. So I can choose either CSV, Parquet. I want to bring in data from CSV. So I have some CSVs over there in my S3. I know a lot of people sometimes are storing data in CSV format onto a variety of different storages. We have connections with Google Cloud Storage, our Azure Cloud Storage. There's one, FTP, you can make connections to FTPs as well. But this one, we're going to use CSV. So I'm going to keep the connection name the same, the CSV the same, but I am going to choose the directory where, no, I'm going to leave the directory blank, but I am going to choose my file name. So here, choose my file name, and I'm going to keep this the same. And then what I'm going to do is click next. If I had a directory, I could do the directory. This is data that's about a guest. So this is guest data that I want to pull in. So I can already see it's already starting to read that CSV file here. It already recognizes what my column headers are and what my column names are. I'm going to use guest ID as my primary key. And then I'm going to click next. And then here you'll see I have a little bit of more options than what I had with the Salesforce CRM connector. So I have the ability to do upserts, which allows me to insert new and update existing data. But I also have the ability to do a full refresh every time. I'm going to do keep upsert here, just insert new and update existing data. And then I do have the ability to do some other things here. So I have the ability to again, choose a directory. I'm going to leave that blank still, and I'm just going to go ahead and click deploy. And I also have the ability to set the frequency. So there I did have the ability to set the frequency of what I wanted this to come in on. And then all of this data is going to start coming into Data Cloud from Amazon S3 really, really, really quick, really, really fast, right? So I made the connection while on stream to my S3 org. I created the data stream. So now that data is going to flow from that CSV file. As those CSV files are refreshed, it's going to come into Data Cloud and it's going to start getting copied over to my data lake object. So all of these data streams create data lake objects. So you'll see here my object API name and that underscore DLL. That underscore DLL, that means data lake object, okay? So when you're dealing with the data model object, which is what you're mapping the data lake object to, that would be underscore DLM, but here it's underscore DLL for a data lake object, all right? So we've gone through how to ingest data into Data Cloud. So this is all going to hit those data lake objects or those initial containers or those initial tables in Data Cloud pretty quickly. So we've gone over how to pull in data from S3 and Salesforce CRM. But what if there's not, what if one of those 200 connectors just does not work for you, right? You know, back when I first started doing these talks, it was like, okay, we had a lot fewer connectors. So, you know, we would definitely tell people like, hey, we recommend using MuleSoft because, as you know, MuleSoft has a lot of connectors out of the box to help pull in data. And I am going to use MuleSoft today on stream to help me pull in data, and simulate pulling in data from a place that might not have a connector out of the box. So that is what's there. So what we have are the Ingestion API, which can bring in data either via streaming or batch, all right? So we're going to talk about the Ingestion API. But before I go to the Ingestion API, I'm going to take a look at the chat. Hello. Getting still some more hellos. Hello, Assad. Welcome from Lebanon. Oh, that sounds like a cool place. I really want to go. And hello, Niket, a very, very faithful and loyal viewer to our channel. Hi, Niket. How are you? All right. So we've seen how to get in data again from Salesforce CRM as well as S3. Let's talk about how to get in data from the Ingestion API. So one of the first things that you'll need to do if you want to get in data from the Ingestion API is you'll have to create a connected app, okay? So where you'll create the connected app, it'll be an actual regular Salesforce setup. So here, I went to the gear icon here and I went into setup. And then you'll go here under App Manager. And you'll create a new connected app, okay? Now, when you create that connected app, you'll enable OAuth, you'll set all your authentication details, and you'll add the scopes that you'll want for your integration or your connection, right? So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to go into Salesforce Setup and you need to create a connected app. This is for the Ingestion API. Then you'll need to go into Data Cloud Setup. And under Data Cloud Setup, you'll need to go to Ingestion API. You'll need to click New, and you'll need to create a connector. So I'm just going to create my codeLive connector here, API, and click Save. And then the next thing you'll need to do is you'll need to upload your YAML file in OAS format. So upload a file, drop the file, but this is going to hold the schema for your connection, okay? Now I'm going to show you what one of those look like after it's already been set up. So let me go back to Ingestion API. Let me just refresh my screen for a second over here. Okay. So I'm going to go to one that I've already set up, which is my MuleSoft Ingestion API connection. And I already uploaded my YAML file here. So I already have my two objects, my runner profiles object, as well as my exercises object, right? And I can allow you to view it. So with both of my objects, I see my field headers as well as the data types that can accept the data for my connector, all right? So after I upload my YAML file, then what I need to do is I need to go and create a data stream for this connector. So we go back to our Salesforce Data Cloud application. We go back to data streams. and we click new. Now I already have a data stream set up, and I've already started inserting some type of some records, but I'm going to set one up here with you all as well. So here we already have a data stream created to be able to start accepting those records as they're coming in via the Ingestion API. But I'm going to go back, click new, choose the Ingestion API tile. So here we are, we're back in data streams, we click the new button, and then we're here on our Ingestion API tile. I'm gonna click next. And then any objects, so the YAML that I uploaded, I would start seeing those objects here that I could start using to create the data stream, right? So I already have my MuleSoft Ingestion API. So exercises is one that I haven't created a stream for yet. So I'm going to choose exercises, click next. And my primary key is going to be my MAID. And this is, again, going to be, I'm going to choose, what should I choose here? I'm going to choose engagement here. And I'm going to use the date time field as my event time field, because this really isn't information that's about a person. It's really about what the person's doing, right? So you want to make sure that we're choosing engagement here as opposed to, profile. I'm going to click next, and then I'm going to deploy. So now this data stream will be available for my external system to start putting in records so that those records can start coming into Data Cloud. And I can feed this this data stream records by using the Ingestion API. So 1 second while I get this up and warmed up. All right, so let's move this over. Streaming, when you're streaming, you have like all of these different things set up on all of these different desktops. Oh, this doesn't want to move. Do you not want to move? I don't know if it wants to move over to my other desktop. Let's see. Move, please. Okay, there we go. It was please. I had to say please. I had to say please behind the move. It was like, I'm not moving unless you say please. But now that I've said please, it moved. All right. So here we have our Ingestion API. So remember, we already had 5 records sitting in that Ingestion API. Let me just go ahead and clear the logs here. Let me go to a different thing. But what if I want to insert records, right? Let's say I want to insert records into this into our data stream using the Ingestion API. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here. I'm going to change these IDs so that it's not conflicting with the records that are already in there. So let's change this to 6. Let's change this to 7. Let's change this to 8. So here is 9 and 10. I see that comment. I'm going to make no comment on that comment about Postman really needing work. It's either Postman or it's me. I don't know. All right, and then I'm gonna put in some first names and some last names here. So let's do some Cody Bear. Let's do some Cloudy. And the last name is going to be Salesforce for Cloudy. Let's do some Jeannie, Bunny, and 9. Which mascot do I want to go with? Let's go with Flo. The mascot Flo. And for 10, let's go with, of course, we have to have awesome Astro, right? Can't leave Astro out there. Oh my gosh, I left Brandy out. Should I fit in Brandy somewhere? I got Jeannie, I have Cloudy, I have Cody. Oh, these are hard things. Who do I eliminate for Brandy? I think I eliminate Flo. I gotta do Flo for Brandy. Or we'll combine them. We'll do Brandy Flo. That's what we'll do. We'll do Brandy Flo. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to send this. So here we set up our integration already. So there's some things that did happen on the background. So this is going in through MuleSoft. There's a great blog out there. And then we had to come here. We had to put in the name of our connector. So the name of the connector needs to be here, as well as the object that we want to insert into. And then from there, we're going to send this request, and the request worked. So we got that good old 200 OK. And so we'll just wait to get these records. I'm going to clear out this request though. I don't want to save this request. I'm going to clear this out. And then I'm going to take this one out too. And then what I want to do is I'm going to open up a new query. So we also have the ability to use our Data Cloud APIs to query for our records. So all we need to do is put in the name of the data lake object here. So I'm going to go back to my Salesforce org here. I think I might need to log in again. We'll see. Yeah, I think I might need to log in again. If you're alarmed by how many trial accounts and trial account logins I have, just want you to know that's how many demos I do. Don't be too alarmed though. So we're going to go back in here, and what we need to do is we need to go back under data streams, and under our runner profiles, I need to get that data lake object name, or the name of the object that I want to query. So I'm going to go here and get that object name. I can't remember if it was the same or if it was different for this. I think it's different. Yeah, it is different. And then I'm going to click send, and I'm going to hope that it queries. Yeah, and it did. So right now it's giving us what's in there right now. It's still taking a little bit more time for those other records to get inserted. Let's see. And there might be a little bit of latency here, which is why I also had one where I already inserted the records last night. So it might be a little bit of latency here, but that's the overall idea of how to insert records into Data Cloud using the Ingestion API. Now, you can always check what records are in there. If you don't want to use the Query API to query, there's a couple of out-of-the-box UI tools. So we have our Data Explorer here, which allows you to choose the data space, then choose the data lake object. Then you can always choose the data lake object here. Up, and look, they popped in. There we go. There's Cloudy. There's Awesome. There's Cody. There's Brandy, and there's Jeannie. Woo! With the Ingestion API. So there they showed up now. All right. So you always have the ability to go to the Data Explorer, choose your data lake object, and then see the records that are sitting in that data lake object if you ever want to do a sanity check or anything like that, or not use the Query API. In Postman, we have the Query API set up here, and that's how we're doing it. I'm going to send another request to the Query API, and we should be getting more of those records now. So those are the first ones. And then, yeah, there's Jeannie Bunny. And there's Cody Bear using the Query API. All right. So I'm going to just recap a little bit, all right, because I know what you saw was a lot. So there's 3 ways, really. There's 3 ways. No, there's more than 3 ways. But there's 3 ways that you learned about today to get data into Data Cloud. So the first one is you can use the Salesforce CRM connector, connect do the OAuth flow and connect to Salesforce to get your data out of, I'm bringing myself back up, to get your data out of a Salesforce object into Data Cloud. So that's the first way, using one of the CRM connectors or one of the out-of-the-box connectors, Marketing Cloud, etc. The other way is to use one of the 200 out-of-the-box connectors and doing some type of authentication like we did with S3 with entering in the client ID and the client secret and then pulling in data like that. And the other way is to use the Ingestion API, which has both the streaming API and the bulk API, which allows you to pull in records. And that's something that's going to be more development heavy and more programmer heavy and less, point and click and less configuration. All of the ways are, in my opinion, are pretty easy and pretty fast. And then after you get all that data into your data lake object or your initial container, then what you would start doing is you would start mapping from your data lake object to the data model in Data Cloud. All right, that'll be something that we'll do on a future stream. Any questions for me about data ingestion? And I did see one question in there earlier about zero copy. So zero copy is a little bit different, which is why I'm going to cover that on a different stream. We currently have zero copy integrations that are GA between Snowflake, Redshift, Google BigQuery, and I believe Databricks that are GA right now, with I believe more on the horizon for the future. And those follow a little bit of a different flow for getting data in, and it's a new type of way to get data into Data Cloud that's not following that typical connection and then ETL load process. So we're going to break that out into a different stream. Can you prevent data sync from CRM to Data Cloud? So can you prevent? Yes. So when you create the connection between Data Cloud and Salesforce CRM, what gets created on the back end is this permission set. So that permission set, I want you to know, it manages all of the permissions to the fields that Data Cloud has access to ingest data to. But let's say you don't want this to keep refreshing on a regular basis. You can absolutely stop the syncing. You can absolutely stop the refresh. Like, let's say you just want to pull in data once from Salesforce CRM and you never want it to be overwritten and you never want it to run again. You can absolutely just turn that data stream off. So the data streams have a status of active or inactive. So you can absolutely turn that data stream to an inactive status so that it's not constantly trying to sync. That's a great question. And with CRM enrichments, which also we're not covering on this, but CRM enrichments now allows you to write data using only configuration, but sync data from a data model object back into Salesforce into both fields. And you can virtualize data model objects as related lists on accounts, objects, and leads. That'll be something that I'll cover in a future stream as well, how you can start virtualizing all of this data and seeing it as a related list on accounts, contacts, and leads, as if you would see like a related object to a primary Salesforce standard object, all on like a contact record or a lead record, which is really, really powerful for showing data from other external systems that's coming into Data Cloud. Great question. All right. And actually, I was telling my team, I was like, I'm probably not going to stay to that new 30-minute time limit. They put a new 30-minute time limit, and I think I might have gone a little bit over the 30-minute time limit for codeLive, but I don't think I went over by too much. And sorry to everyone that joined us on LinkedIn that experienced some of those technical difficulties. We'll definitely find a way to get this stream onto LinkedIn, even if it's uploading it as a video or something. This video will always be there on YouTube to consume on a later date. All of this gets posted onto YouTube. Here's one other question, which is there a plan to simplify the DMO names? This is actually a question that I'm not exactly sure. So when you create a custom DMO, you choose the name. If you want to create a custom DMO, you can choose the name for a custom DMO. But for standard DMOs, the names are what they are. I haven't heard of anything to like simplify those DMO names. I haven't seen anything on the roadmap or any discussion on that. However, it's something that I could definitely bring to our product team and let them know if there's a need to simplify, or if you feel like there's a need for us to simplify some of those names. And I just want to call out some of these great comments. Thank you, everyone, for saying that this was an amazing session and for thanking me for joining. I want to thank you all for joining and me on this stream. I know it takes out a significant chunk of your day, and some of you are joining during your work days. So I completely appreciate you joining me for today's stream. And we will be back next week, same time, next Thursday, for another Code Live. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. And I'm going to leave with some groovy, awesome music. Bye-bye, everyone.